Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 with my continuing look at Hearts of Iron 4's No Step Back DLC mod, or not mod, DLC, both the paid and the free. I don't know what's in which. You can look that up for yourself. But we're taking a look at it here and seeing what's going on. But before I get into that, I want to thank Toyjet, Timothy, Nils, and others for your support over on Patreon. But everyone else, can you just give the video a like, including the live stream people on YouTube, if you can hit the like button for the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. That's all I really ask for anybody to do here. I really appreciate that. Oh, and also you can make a comment. That's also I ask too. You know, just say hi. That's really cool. It helps the algorithm. Why haven't I eaten Czechoslovakia yet? Okay, I'll get to that in just a moment. It's called ducting. I have seen some pictures of the bridge. It's not an impressive bridge. It looks like some sort of thing you would be crossing a stream in the American Midwest and uses only. Yeah, at that point. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily need to be a big thing. And that's another thing. There's two types of rivers. There's narrow and wide here. And you can sort of see this is the narrow river here, and this is the wide Rhine. I guess that's the narrow level, or is that the wide? I think that's the narrow. But there's two types of rivers in the game. Right. Why haven't we needed Czechoslovakia? And I was talking about this a little earlier. National focuses. These are all taking too long. And I went over them just a little bit before I guess you got here. The ones that I've done and how far I've gotten. And I don't think I've done things too unhistorical, and so some of these need to be shortened time-wise to get to it. But we're going to, now that we just completed West Wall. And I would make the West Wall a requirement for demanding Sudetenland, because Hitler would not have done so without the West Wall being in place to some degree. Now, he continues to build it post-1938, which is when the Sudetenland happens, and extended up along both Belgium and the Netherlands, up this little bit here, but it's largely in place at this time. Was there any rail movement limits in West moving supplies and troops in Russia? Yes, but in Western Europe? No. To the best of my knowledge, for both battles of France, it was primary truck supplies. Germans had worked out, and they had their talked about last weekend. Yoshi Hisa, good to have you here. Talked about America's super weapon in World War II, the forklift. What was Germany's super weapon in World War II? Similar, not the forklift, obviously, but what was it? There was one. They had one. Where's the button you need to go? Yeah, YouTube Plastic Gangster for hitting the like if you haven't subscribed. You don't have to go over to YouTube, but if you haven't already subscribed, and you can watch it in either place, whichever is best for you. I'm happy I see the chat from either YouTube or Twitch. Still steep bank barrier to any armored vehicles. Oh well, and it's also very barrier to a river like this you don't want to swim across, so you need boats. And we're not talking a couple of commandos or just a raiding party to get across. We're talking about moving a division across. You're not going to swim an infantry division across, especially with horses. Any of these things. These aren't proper streams. It may be narrow like you're talking about there. The horse? No. Hello, technologists. Yeah, no, not the horses. That's not the super weapon the Germans had. Germany's super weapon was horse and cart. Nope, that's not it. They had a super weapon. They had a super secret super weapon. Please give this. Yes, thanks, Arno. Nobody's guessing Germany's super secret weapon. We all know about it today. But it was a super secret weapon at the time. Ausrücken. Okay. Germany had a super secret weapon. It was called, and this is not what the Germans called it, No, not nationalists, not meth. Yeah, I know about the Premazin or whatever you pronounce the stuff. No, it was what the I know it by the British name for it, because the British, they do find out about this, of course, eventually. But the Germans had this super secret weapon called the jerry can. You know, the jerry can, the thing you put the fuel in. But I'll tell you about this jerry can that they had. They developed this in the late 30s. It's a fuel can. It's made in very special ways, meaning including its pour spout, the idea that it has 3 handles. That way one person can pick it up with the central handle, mainly the idea when it's empty. But yeah, you can pick it up and struggle with it with, depending on how strong you are, with one-handed, or the 2 side handles on it, because most modern jerry cans just have the central handle. But they have the 2 side handles, so 2 guys could pick it up easily. One from each side, or the single one. And it's a super secret weapon. So secret that when there was a German-American expedition to go traveling, I don't think it was Tibet or whatever, but it was like Nepal or somewhere here in greater India, that there was a few Germans and a few Americans were going on this driving trip. The Germans that were involved in this brought some jerry cans along with them, and I'll get to why it's so important and why it's a super secret weapon in a minute. But this is to prove that it's a super secret weapon. Eventually, while this trip is going on, this sort of exploring the wilderness in a car kind of trip or something like that, while it's going on, traveling across here, Germany, some German intelligence elements find out that this is happening. So they send an airplane all the way to, somewhere on the Indian subcontinent. They send an airplane out there and go collect the jerry cans to get them back to Germany. But the Americans, as part of this, and I don't know what, they end up keeping one of them. They keep one of them. They get back to Washington, and once it's over, they turn it over to American intelligence. Now, America does nothing with this. It's like, oh, good. Thank you. Let me set this over here. They do nothing with it, to the best of my knowledge. This is like in 1938, 39. And so this is something that is so secret that Germany does not want out, that they send an airplane to British territory. Now, this is like a civilian airplane, private, whatever, or Lufthansa, I don't know. I forget some of the details. But they fly out to India. The guy, gets off the airplane, gets whatever, goes, meets the guys. Hey, we need these jerry cans back, whatever they're called in German. So he gets most of them back. Not the Americans somehow hide one of them because they realize what this is. And they fly them back. That's how they're trying to keep this secret. Now, you see, Germany definitely had fuel trucks, like France did, like America did, and Britain did at the time. But you see, a fuel truck, you have a big tank on the fuel truck, and you have 2, can at max have really sort of practically 2 hoses to come off of it, so you can fill up 2 vehicles with fuel at one time, and then they could drive away, and then the next 2, and the next 2, and the next 2. But you see, with the German, with the yeah, it's fine. You can catch up on the chat. And yes, I'm in agreement that Hitler becomes fixated more so, but not that he doesn't start out with that. That's my opinion. I've watched some of TIK's Stalingrad stuff, but not all of it. He's gone into great detail. Okay, so the system, but it's not just the jerry can, but that's incredibly important. But it's the system. So like I say, a fuel truck, you can refuel 2 trucks or 2 tanks or 2 whatever maximum at a time, but probably just 1. But with the jerry cans, what they do is they set up and they train up this system. They have a fuel dump back here in like Cologne or somewhere near the front, And then they have a bunch of trucks, just flatbed, type trucks, standard trucks. And they load them up. They have, a bunch of men working, and they load them up the truck with jerry cans. This is and the action's going on. And that truck, with a bunch of others, drives along the road, gets to a frontline position, near the front, and shows up and goes, "Hey guys," and I'm sure they're saying this in German, but they go, "Hey guys, the fuel's here." And so all of the tankers, or all of the infantry standing around, or whatever, swarm this truck, if you will, and quickly lift all of those cans off of that truck. And that truck, and then so then the tank crews, you got these guys all carrying their cans back quickly and stacking the cans next to their tanks. And they're all filling up the tanks all at once. So if there's 10 tanks, they're all being refueled at once from one truck instead of one or two at a time. So they're all being refueled. And so then that truck drives back the way they came a ways, finds the last place somebody else, maybe them, maybe somebody else, did the same procedure. Because what the guys, after they fuel up all of their, whether it's their trucks or their tanks or their, motorcycles or whatever, they're supposed to just quickly stack or pile up. I don't think they worry about neatness, but pile up all the jerry cans off to the side of the road somewhere. So this truck, that after they got, the truck crew doesn't have to unload the truck. It's the local troops unload the truck. They then drive back along the way they came for a ways, find another pile of empty jerry cans, and then the truck crew, because now they're empty, quickly fills their truck back up with empty jerry cans, drives back to the fuel point. They get swarmed by the troops working back here that quickly unload the truck of the empty jerry cans, loads the truck with full jerry cans, and then the truck drives forward again. And so it's this cycle of ever-extending lines, and they're constantly reusing the jerry cans and moving forward, okay? So you get this picture of how they are using these fuel trucks and getting fuel efficiently, rapidly. Now, and you were saying they're horses and whatnot. Yes, most of the German army is using horse transport. Most German divisions have some level of motorization. A few Kuba wagons, a few trucks, that kind of thing. But most of the divisions are using mostly horsepower. So it's a few officers running around in Kuba wagons. It's a few trucks for quick, get some artillery shells over to somewhere or something like that. But mostly they are using horsepower, absolutely. But for the motorized forces, they have this whole fuel supply system. Now, the Germans do have fuel trucks, and you do often see in locations somewhat forward, they use the fuel trucks to reload the, because they go, going from one jerry can to the next jerry can, filling them up, because they have them all lined up there, and they just, quickly fuel them up. So they refuel the jerry cans somewhat more forward. So they do use the fuel trucks, but mostly to reload jerry cans. And this is why I sort of talk some of the major depots, they'll have, larger tank farms for fuel. Now, this supply system of supplying the fuels works very well for this short duration of distance. We're not talking time in the sense of, World War I versus World War II duration, speeds of attack. We're talking over short range durations. It works for it. It would be an interesting thing for IKB to look up sometime in the future. I would be interested to know if Germany was using the railway lines for I forget what it was called, the after Fall Gelb is over and they're getting ready to push down into Paris and the rest of France, because they take a breather after Dunkirk is sort of finally over. They sort of take a breather and get ready for the second offensive to knock France out. If the Germans were using, I would be interested to know this, if the Germans were using the Belgian railway lines to actually move material up and fuel up I'm not so much talking about redeploying of troops. I'm talking about moving up artillery shells or bringing in food from Germany. I'm talking from Germany to the front lines in France if they were using rail lines in that time. Because I don't know if the bridges all got blown and they weren't able to move any stuff. I'm not talking locally, running some trains around. I'm talking from Germany if they were using it for that. I don't know. That would be an interesting thing, IKB. And you don't have to do it now or anything like that. But I would like to know. They take a breather 12 days before Dunkirk. Yes. Well, they did do that before pushing into Dunkirk. Yes. And that allowed them to escape. But once they sort of got there, they took another breather before going into deeper into France. That is actually a good planning break. It's figuring out, reorganizing themselves up, getting ready to go south in there. And I would be curious to know if they used railways after that point. But I know early on they weren't using any railways, as far as I know. I mean, I don't know of any, and I'm pretty sure I would have heard about it. So yeah, the jerry can. Now, the British used the flimsy. That's what they sort of called it, the flimsy. It was approximately a 1-gallon can instead of a 5-gallon can. You often see the can used, they would paint them tan, of course, and they used them as water cans for the Vickers machine gun. They'd have a hose that once the water gets too hot, turn to steam, and they use it as a condenser can to condense it down into there. They keep a little bit of water in it so that when the steam comes out the rubber hose into the can, it would cool enough into water to recycle it. So if you want to see what a flimsy looks like, look for pictures of a Vickers machine gun with a water can sitting below it. They use those, but the British particularly noticed, because it was a flimsy little can, sort of basically meant, I say sort of basically meant as a single-use can, not to be reused. And the fuel would actually be loaded into those cans at times. They did have tankers as well, but if they didn't have tankers available, they would load up wherever, in Britain or wherever, load them up in ships in the cans, and then get them to a place like Alexandria and unload them, or they would from a tanker, or from tanks, load the cans up. But they would find that maybe because of the pore seams on the cans and other elements, they might find the can 20% empty, just fuel leakage / evaporation. So they weren't very good. And the British, once they, I don't think they really have a chance to notice it much in the Battle of France. But once they start noticing the jerry can down here, they use everyone they can get, whether for water or for fuel, because they are seen as an excellent can. And yes, I don't know if Britain ever puts them into production. They might, but definitely America puts them into production. And they do sort of simulate. They don't quite have the round or the recycling method, I think, is set up as well as the Germans did. I just think the Americans will just make more jerry cans and deliver more jerry cans. But they use all they can get. But that is sort of Germany's super weapon of logistics and how they were able to do what they did for the Battle of France. And you see, this, and trust me, I've, I'll use a modern term, thrown shade at France for its poor command and control performance for the Battle of France, and it's very, very legitimate to do so. They fucked up. Okay, that's clearly. Britain was much more able to react to the battle situation, but a lot of them, and they talk about, oh well, you couldn't come through. There's a lot of this, oh, the Allies were so sure they couldn't come through the Ardennes for us, so they didn't put good divisions there, blah, 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 blah. Well, I would state they knew the Germans could come through there, but they didn't understand that the Germans could come through there that fast, that hard, with that much motorization, and sustain the offensive. See, that's the thing, is can you get a few tanks through? or is it the ability to punch through and keep going? And so they did not. It's just like the Germans did not foresee or understand the idea of the floating harbors able to set up here. They figured you had to take Cherbourg or Brest, and these Dieppe and Le Havre, Calais and Dunkirk are very small ports. One of these is not going to sustain a major invasion of Europe. Maybe 4 of them might, but even then, if you look at them, they might. Some of these ports here, you can only get 2 or 3 ships in and out at a time. So yeah, and that's why the Americans, when they really wanted to come up to here, they really wanted to get places like Antwerp, to get major ports, and why the Germans fought and held out in Cherbourg and Brest for a while, because they really thought you needed to have a major port. And so just like the Germans didn't foresee the floating ports, the British and the French did not foresee the jerry can and the system behind it. So they didn't understand the ferocity of attack that could happen. They still thought, the guys are going to be walking, and the guys are going to be moving supplies on a horse, being in a wagon. And if they blew all the railway bridges, they're going to take weeks or months to rebuild the railway bridges. And over the, and it's not just over the Meuse here. There's smaller ones around that you blow up. I mean, it can just be a small overpass kind of thing or whatever. It just takes maybe in some cases hours, but others just days to repair. But still, that's days of slowing up your advance. Center didn't even have a telephone. No, they had one telephone. The Central Command had one telephone line, is my understanding. But that's it. They had one telephone line. But, and I've talked about this before, their whole command system did not trust radio and telephone as giving orders. They thought that they were going to get, early electronic warfare, in the sense of people coming on and giving false orders or trying to confuse things. So they did everything either by messenger or in person is what they wanted to do. But we all made the same mistakes. The French did not have the benefit of the channel. Yeah. Both we and the French were prepared for a war like the last one. Absolutely. Well, France was probably the nation most ready to fight World War I. But unfortunately, they got World War II again, instead of World War I again. It's at the beginning of any war, the generals, and he said, yeah, absolutely. You're right about that in many cases, and that's it. But that's sort of the thing. Now let's get going. I know I've talked a lot. Let's get going with the game. Okay, Zog submits to Italy. So now Italy's invaded Albania. So we're looking at probably at best a 1940 start of the war. These just take too long. Haven't even done the anti-Comintern pack. Thank you, Plastic Gangster. Thank you. And yeah, it's I'm trying to do lessons from history, not necessarily history lessons. Meaning, if you want to get it, you read a good book or watch a good documentary that'll give you the details of some of these things because they're properly prepared. Or I'm just sort of winging it, but giving you the ideas. That is also the one thing that Germany did like America were trains. I'll maybe go into that some point. I don't know if I'll make a special episode on what's that. But what is it? Krieg engine or something? IKB. What do they call the German railway engine? The Kriegsbahn or something like that. I don't know. IKB is my railway expert. And we're not doing the strategic. We're not doing transport stuff. We got just checking to make sure I got the stuff. Yeah, well, documentaries are are good. Unfortunately, a lot of them are sort of set for modern TV audiences, so they gloss over things, but good ones I like. Okay. Well, what we're going to do now here is, let's see. I want to reread anti-tank support. Okay, we have 1,000 available. Well, I'm going to add this right now, just so that I'm taking into account my 400 down. So that means I need to make more anti-tank guns. Let's do 3 more lines. Krieg's locomotive, that's it. Thank you, IKB. That's what I was looking for. The Krieg's locomotive. It's not quite a superpower I would go into, but it's definitely the one thing the Germans do right. Germans make a lot of cool panzers. That's the problem. They make a lot of different cool panzers. And they're so cool, they take a long time to produce. And there's a lot of different types of them. Okay, so we now have improved medium chassis. Very good. As you guys know, I am an infrastructure first kind of player. So we're doing these things here. Krieg's locomotive. Yes, I got to remember that. See, I was halfway there. Let's look. Well, no, we want to come. I'm not used to using the tank designer. Improved medium chassis. We're going to create a variant. Here's what we want to do. Okay, so armor module. We currently, I guess, the current. Okay, I gotta learn this, and this will be under the Herschel. So we've been producing this Panzer III medium tank thingy, or no, this which one have we been? Oh, yeah, just the standard one. I guess that. Hold it. Well, let's see what is. Okay, let's see. What is this? Okay. I think this came from the. We didn't change over to it, but I think this comes from. Although this is the Panzer A or Panzer IV. Okay, no. Well, what are we? No. Mm. Huh. Okay. Like I say, I'm not used to using this. This is the Panzer. Okay, the Panzer III here. As welded armor. These things came, I believe, because of the German-Soviet stuff. When I say stuff, I mean here, this, and then the Army Innovations, I think. But this here, yes. Well, is this good enough? Let's switch over to, no. This was the earlier thing. I created that earlier. Well, let's look in detail. Panzer III Oust A. We have basic radio. Okay, I'm looking to see if there's they have smoke. Here launchers don't have sloped armor here. Okay. Turret module installed. But what module do I have here? Well, Okay, okay, it's this one, 3-man turret. Okay, so we have a 3-man turret, medium fixed. And yes, I've really not looked at this more than now. And light type turrets, okay, light fixed, 3-man light turret. It looks like a M24 Chaffee type turret, but okay. 1-man turret, 2-man, okay, that looks like a 35T turret to me without the coaxial machine gun in it. All right. Okay, so back. Okay, I like that turret. Like the smoke. Gun. Armament. Medium 1. Medium howitzer. Okay, I like that. Okay, bogey suspension. Okay, so my other option is interleaved road wheels. That's sort of like what we see on the Panther and some other vehicles. Christie and torsion bar. Okay. Bogey wheels is what I think they did have. Okay, we have welded armor. Okay, good. Engine. We have G gasoline. What was that? Okay, petrol electric engine. The hybrid, yay! Found basically only on the Porsche designed Tiger, later turned into the Ferdinand, then the Elephant as they go through life. The only German vehicle that I know of, or only armored fighting vehicle that Germany produced that I know of that's diesel, is the Puma, and the related 8-wheel scout cars at that. They were designing for North Africa. Yeah, well, by the time they got them ready, North Africa was long gone. Okay, so do we want to do like additional machine guns? Machine guns in sponsons and special pintle mounts give the vehicle improved defense against close-in infantry attacks. Now, is this... well, let's say close-in infantry attacks, so that is not... anti-aircraft, but is this considered... and obviously it looks like it is a top-mounted gun, but the Germans did do that eventually, but does this not have, or whatever, for a bow-mounted machine gun already? Skirt armor. No, I don't cancel that. Sloped armor production cost, I don't know. We're not going to do a secondary turret. British did some, the Soviets did some, well, the Germans did in the Neubaut-Fahrzeug, but we've already got the radio in it. Wet storage ammunition. Okay, production cost 10% for sloped armor. Armor plus 20%. So this is just a flat up straight 1.5 production cost. Armor 2.0 right through. Already have extra ammunition storage. Design cost, reliability down. Okay, so we have 2 extra slots here for Panzeraust A. We can do 2 of these things. We already have smoke. Welded armor is best. You only have, I know I only have 7 points, but each of these only cost 1. It's more the slots here. I only have 2 available slots left as current. Okay, this is armor. Well, in breakthrough, that's 20% armor increase. Liability down. Defense. Okay, we're going to do additional machine guns and Bitson. Okay. Okay, so we have this new version here. Make sure, yeah, that's right. So what we're going to do here is, we're going to come here. Where is it? No, it's down here. Yes, here. We're going to come here, and then I'm going to. This is the one I just created, I do believe, because it's. Oh no, that's the no. Okay. Which one did I just create? Is it? Okay, let me see it. Well, should have done this first. Yes, this is the one I just created. Okay, so it just hit us a little bit on production efficiency, so we've upgraded to that. So that is good. Now, let's look at. Okay, let's come and do this again. Let's look over here at Panzer IV Aus. Okay, gun. It has medium armament. No, back. Installed module close support. Okay, it's close support gun. No, small armaments. Close support gun. Okay, it has that currently, which is what it had historically. Basic velocity cannon. Automatic cannons. Well, basic anti-aircraft gun. Improved small cannon. Basic high velocity cannon. Guessing that's supposed to be the 50mm gun. I'm guessing medium armaments, medium howitzer. Yeah, this is not an anti-tank gun. This is a, you know, a howitzer support gun. Heavy armaments, basic heavy. Okay, this is really, I think we're looking into the terms of something like an 88. Well, okay. My brain hurts. Does your brain hurt? Does your brain hurt? Mine does. My brain hurts. I don't know. You don't understand how. Okay, here's the thing. Small armaments. Okay, the small armaments. Module slot, main armament, select module. Okay, we have close support gun. Okay. Hard attack, soft attack. Okay, 75mm gun. That's what I'm presuming this is supposed to be. This is supposed to be the L12. Allows artillery roll. No, the L24 gun. Sorry, not the L12. The L24 gun. And that's what's coming on this gun as standard on this tank. If this is your basic high velocity cannon. Well, okay, is this small cannon? Where's the 75mm gun? The L43 or the L48 gun? They're just a little. One's a little bigger than the other. And then the difference between those isn't worth modeling really in this scale of the game. Because if this is a 37 millimeter, what is this? Is this okay, 37 millimeter cannon. Is this like a 37 millimeter on an Italian tank or on a French tank? And is this like a 37 millimeter on a German tank or a Soviet tank? Or, well, there's a lot of 45 millimeters. Or is this a 50 millimeter gun? Or is this the 50 millimeter gun? Equivalent. Because your close support gun, unless this is supposed to be like a, what's in a broom bar or something. Because I don't see why this is going from 25 soft attack to 10 hard attack or soft attack. Because they will both will shoot projectiles, and the longer gun would shoot just as much, explosive mass to blow up bunkers or infantry positions or whatever, high explosive rounds, do just as much or more damage than the L-24 gun. But it will also have a panzer killing, tank killing cannon ability here. Yeah, I know there's no caliber specs, but I'm trying to. Yeah, but I don't see. Yeah, Arno, I see this is an early game, but I don't see any text to research bigger, better. See, that's the thing. That's why I went over in here and I looked for a tank tech here for high velocity big gun or something. Because obviously we have engines, we have some improvements to armor. Well, maybe here. Nope, don't see a high velocity big gun. Here, research. And yeah, we know Paradox is a small, struggling company, and just 3 guys making the game from start to finish. And how much can they get? Oh God, Paradox. Paradox is fucking cheap. Okay, let me just say that. This is all of the thought that they put in. Well, let's see what. Okay, well, let's see. Okay, well, okay, you're right. Okay, Arno's right. Thank you, Arno. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Maybe I take back some of what I just said about Paradox. Enables medium cannon and squeeze bore adapter. Okay. You're right. Arno's right. Well, they have been cheap, Ari, with that Battle for the Bosphorus, in my opinion. Okay, this one enables high velocity cannon. I just quite honestly hadn't moused over these yet. Improved high velocity cannons and improved heavy cannon. Improved medium cannon, nothing, and enables advanced high velocity cannon. Okay, so this is doing this. This is good. This is good. Okay, enables various other, improved anti-air guns. Okay, I'm still learning. They're still being cheap on some things, but okay, they've done this better than I thought. I was looking for another cannon development thing, but no. Okay, this works in, quad, 40 millimeter quad AA. Germans only had a 37 and 40 millimeter are virtually the same thing for mounting. Germany only had a dual 37 millimeter AA. Sort of that. They didn't go to quad. I don't know that anybody did quad 40 millimeter. Not that that's a terribly bad thing here, but not that somebody couldn't. Obviously, they did have the 20 millimeter Fock Verlaine, which was a quad gun, 37 millimeter AA. Okay. All right. Improved medium cannon. Enables the 150 millimeter cannon 18 heavy howitzers. Enables auto loaders. Okay. Okay, Nerblewaffe, rocket launchers. Okay. Just looking through here. I hadn't looked through here, and bigger Nerblewafers. Right, and improved rocket launchers for the vehicle. Okay, so they've done all right. They've done all right. We should do this before I go ahead and go for a medium cannon kind of thing. I should. So I'm not going to change my Panzer IVs, but what I'm going to start to do is, did I get any in production? No. I probably should have just recently though, but let's put 2 factories once they get built, obviously. And here we have 1 coming there already. Another fuel silo and some more fuel, because their fuel is full. Okay, so hello Soul XP. I'm liking the new system. No, you're not God, Arno, but you're cool. You're cool, Arno. Thank you for being here. The whole DLC thing is being cheap. Yeah, you have an... Okay, and I've defended this to a point in the past. People said, when Hearts of Iron 4, because I was deeply involved as it was coming out, said, well, you've removed this, you've removed that, from whether Hearts of Iron, Hearts of Iron 3. No, they didn't, because they started over from scratch. Okay. They started over from scratch. So they didn't remove anything. They just haven't built out X or Y or Z yet. There's a difference. Now, maybe it's the same effect as you're playing it, but it's not like, oh, it was there, but they cut it out. It's just they didn't build it yet. Okay. Paradox has, well, I bought and played, but I didn't know I didn't care at the time. Didn't even know that there was a company called Paradox when I bought and played Europa Universalis, because I bought the original thing, not like day one or anything, but way back when there was just Europa Universalis. Bought it, came on CDs. I played the hell out of it. Okay, so I go back that far. Didn't even know that Paradox exists. Didn't come into my psyche. I just looked at the box. It looked cool. This was before YouTube was a thing. I bought it. I played it. It had problems. Then, hey, eventually I found 2. I played the hell out of that. Okay, so I go back that far with Paradox games. But I wasn't a Paradox fanboy because like I said, didn't even know that Paradox existed. I've been very involved with Paradox as a beta tester kind of thing. That's what I'm talking about. And as a modder. And I was modding the beta before it was released. So looking in at the codes that I could look at it. That's what I mean by very involved. I'm still technically under an NDA, not that they're that concerned now about what I knew about during the beta development. But yeah, I know I didn't contribute anything spectacular or anything, but yeah, I was like the other beta testers contributing stuff to the development. So I was very involved in what was going on. Again, from an outsider perspective, because I'm not an employee, and so only what they were showing us in the beta, not what they were working at in the alpha or something. So very involved in this release. And I do defend a lot, and I still do defend a lot of the stuff with Paradox, and that they were starting over. But they fucked up, and they know it, and they admitted it as much as any company. And they basically admitted it. They announced Hearts of Iron 4 way too early. And there was a year-plus delay, and I think please always note my language when I jump over from no to I think. I think the bean counters over in Paradox Interactive, as opposed to Paradox Development Studio, said to a point is Hearts of Iron 4 playable? Well, yeah, but it's not ready, I think was probably the response. Release it. I think they got a command to release it from Paradox Interactive. I think. Please always note my language. Because it released way too early, in my opinion. It wasn't ready. Maybe the Paradox developments now of course to everyone they come out and go, they're all behind it because when you work for a company and you're going to release the game, you're not supposed to go criticize the company unless you're planning on quitting, publicly, like hey, you released it too early. No, you all get on board and you just give the party line, and I don't blame any of the employees for getting the party line, but I think that's what they were doing when they released it. And so they released it way too early. They announced it way too early. They released it way too early. And that's a problem. I'll say the only reason we have a lot of these really good models is because of, I think you pronounce his name, Von Boe or something like that. A Japanese modeler made a bunch of 3D models. You can see here the colonial stuff, and they just bought him out. He was going to do it as a mod. And they saw the quality, and I think they didn't want They didn't want a mod with higher quality or as high of quality out. So they just bought his models from him, and he stopped model making. And they, you can go in and look, and they've tweaked some of the stuff from what he originally did. So it's not like 100% his work, but he did some really nice, like the Dutch and some of these others, really nice 3D models during, once they got into stuff. So, so I know, so they release things and push things too early. Now, player expectation. When you have an EU3 and it's a well-developed game, when players come to EU4, they don't want a bare bones game. So Paradox needs to handle player expectation much better. And they hype up their games like companies do. I don't think they need to release the game full and complete on day one. It just takes a lot of development effort. So DLCs of one, and it can vary from game to game. DLCs I'm fine with, but they just cheaped out on too much stuff, in my opinion. Overboard on it. So yeah, let me see what I've been saying after this. So yeah, I like what they're doing so far as I've gotten into Soul XP. Don't get me wrong, I'm really glad we have it, but they're cheap. I believe they have been taken over by. No, I think they're Agiod. I think is part of the Slytherin Matrix group. They did games using, but they really paid attention to detail and history, and were a great studio, smaller than Paradox, but soon much more polished and amazing attention to detail. Arno is Welded Armor specialist. Yes, doing good. Makes excellent war games. I'm not sure if they're to the best of my knowledge. Paradox, I think, published a couple of their games way back when, but because both Paradox Interactive is a publisher. Paradox Development Studios is a game development studios, and they're two different legal entities. I think they may share the same floor, or they live in the same building, I know, and I've had interactions with both groups and whatnot. And so Paradox is sort of like Steel Divisions, or Steel Division, or Steel Divisions. Paradox publish, where they're not publishing Steel Divisions 2, which is on the Eastern Front. So Paradox has published, I don't know how much outside companies they're still publishing games for, but they have been a publisher. That's different than an owner, and I think they did publish some of their stuff. But both Matrix and Slytherin are publishers. they sort of, my understanding of some of their structures, most of the games I think are done by different development studios than them, but I think they own outright some of the development studios. And I don't, because, you know, they're still a Matrix company, and they still have their, some of the, you know, Eric, I forget his last name, is still running Matrix, and that's sort of based in America, where Slitherine is based in down here in Surrey, I believe. But I think, I think, and I don't know all the details, I think Slitherine fully owns Matrix, but I think that when they bought out Matrix, I think some, like Eric or whatever, got some Slitherine stock or something. I don't know. I don't know the details of it, but I know Eric, the guy who sort of runs Matrix, is very involved with, you know, been involved with making War in the East 2, and unfortunately the Steel Tigers is the follow-on to the Steel Panther series. It's been delayed a lot, but they're going to those guys are going to be making Steel Tigers when it comes out, which is a, you know, a tank / squad level World War II game. So yeah, they're publishers, but I think Agiot, or however you pronounce that, I think that's more or less a Slitherine Matrix subsidiary at some point, at some level. And I'll tell you what. Yes, I bitch and moan and complain and disagree with their lack of historicity in a lot of these Paradox games, and I very much consider that had been, though they may be changing it, but the focus had been that Hoi 4, in my opinion, is really EU 20th century, because their player base of EU, Crusader Kings, and Vicky are what they're looking at. And so their player base wants all this fantasy crap of getting rid of Hitler and either going Kaiser or going commie or whatever. You know, that's what they want. They want the, well, it's fun, gamer, they tell me. Yeah, okay, but I want a World War II history game. But this game is more complicated than anything Slitherine or Matrix can make. And by that I mean the AI, I mean the sort of, this appears to be real time, but it's not. It's actually an hourly turn-based game with initiatives. So to the player, it looks like it's a, you know, real-time game, but it's an hourly turn-based game. And Paradox, Matrix, whatever you want to call them, is not able to make an AI that can function globally on an hourly turn-based thinking game. So this is a lot more complicated than anything that Agiot or whoever could create. Now that doesn't excuse or mean they can't be more historically focused. Absolutely. And that's where I would be first. I am fine with any sort of fantasy thing you want to make. I actually think the mod, because the mod starts and creates its own world, the Kaiserreich mod I think is great. But it's a fantasy thing, and I played it, and I enjoy it, and I'll probably play it again once they update it to the newer whatever. But it's a fantasy world that they create. What if Germany won World War I kind of thing, and they create this wild and wacky world? Okay, that's cool. That's fun. It's a game. It's fun, you know, gamer. Yes, I agree. But the thing I want most, I mean, again, I want to play, you know, yesterday I was playing War in the East 2 for Slitherine Matrix. Thursday I was playing, Warhammer Battle Sector. I want to play non-historical games at times. I was also recently got Tropico 6. Well, I had a sort of a nerfed version that they gave me. It just had like 4 of the missions, but I finally broke down on sale and bought the whole thing. And I like to play other things than history games. Absolutely. I don't want to only just play one thing. But I want a really good, detailed World War II grand strategy game. That's my passion. I want that. I want other things as well, but that's what I want. Yes, histrionics over history. Okay, interesting use there. This game lacks realism like the English Channel is Now, okay, English channel pissing down in Europe. Okay, hello, NMDB. Yeah, a bit of a rant. I hope it was fun. By the way, World in Flames instead, but you don't. Yeah, I have not played World in Flames. Haven't. I remember it before the computer. Any computer stuff. If that had an AI, I would buy it, whatever the price. $1,000. Okay. If the AI and all that was good, I would buy that. But yes, I would pay $1,000 for it. Not that I want to pay that much for it, but I would pay that much for a version of that with AI. 80% sale. Well, that's good, but it just doesn't have the AI, and I don't know if I'm going to play it. Find it. So yeah. So now on this. I don't know what's wrong with this. Please explain to me. Now I'll give you because they wanted, and there's maybe reason not to have this here. One, this is big so you can click it, okay? Because if they made these C zones too small. Two, maybe not here at Dover, Calais, but most of this other area, they don't want it to be right bordering a coast of, thing, because yes, it should just be one of these things wide for some of this stuff. But is this so wrong for the naval functioning? Tell me yes, I know it's too wide, but it's meant so that a ship can go down here through here without going through coastal zones on either side. And yeah, here that's probably a bit too narrow for that, but tell me what's too wrong. I'm going to turn my heater off, but you can type in what in gameplay, not just in looks. And since it doesn't really affect too much the air battle going across here, I mean, tell me what's wrong, why it's bad, other than just, yeah, it should be closer. And then I probably will agree with you, but let me know what you find too wrong. I'll be right back. Just getting up. Because there is something called game functionality that you need to be able to have. Okay, I remember World in Flames before the days of home computers, but even then it was massive. Yes. Oh, I remember going to game conventions and had this huge map, and I watched it for a few hours of them playing, this huge map laid out, One of them even, it was sort of up on a vertical on a wall, and it was about like 6 feet tall almost, the map, and they had all the counters or whatever with little magnets because it was sort of on a metal backing so that they could move the stuff around, and it was so cool. But I was a kid living at home, and nowhere in my house my parents would be able to let me set that up to then have it long enough to be able to play anything, and I had absolutely no friends that would be able to learn the game and play with me. I was able to get a few friends who could play Third Reich against me, and I could set up on the dining room table long enough and have it there for a few days and have friends come over and play it. So Third Reich, Rise and Fall of the Third Reich by Avalon Hill, that was sort of my game. Not that I wouldn't be willing to learn, World in Flames game. I would have loved to, but it was just an impracticability. And in my apartment, I'm sure I could get some sort of map set up in here, but it would take up too much of my apartment, really. So I don't really have a place to play that. And I know computers, yeah, you can play it, over email or whatever, but I just don't have enough time and interest to do that, however cool it would be. If it was AI and it was a good AI, I would buy it. Well, yeah, the 80% off is tempting. I don't know. But almost I think I should, I don't know, because if I was going to play it, I would play it for YouTube, and I'd find somebody, to be my opponent. And then I sort of quite honestly feel they should give me the game because I'm doing that kind of publicity for them. So it's sort of a trade-off. It's not that, I deserve it because I'm a YouTuber. No, hey, if I'm going to be playing this and doing publicity for your game, you should give me the game. And I did buy this latest DLC. Though the Paradox, I bought the expansion packs. Paradox gave me Hoi 4 because of me being in the beta. But I bought the expansion packs. They gave me Imperator Rome, but they wouldn't give me some of their other games. I'm not big enough a streamer for them to care. But yeah, can you play it as the alliances? I mean, could we just say Germany and the Axis, including say Japan, and the Allies play the Soviet nationalism? I don't. Oh, it could be. What? Okay, Monster. Yeah, it's possible for sure. 2, 4, and 6 players. Hey, how about you, me, and Beam Sam? One Western Allies, Soviets on commentary. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe talk to me if you guys haven't. Hey, Arno, can you drop into both YouTube, and since we're up on both YouTube and Twitch, an invite to the Discord server? If you want to organize possibly anything up with me, yeah, I did some squad leader with my cousin, or advanced squad leader. He played it. So yeah, I played those with my cousin. He really liked advanced squad leader, and I played that, and that was fun. But the best place to try to organize things up with me is on my Discord server. That's where we play War Thunder as well, and other games, including a lot of the guys play Hoi 4 there, or other things. I don't know if Arno's still around, or maybe he's getting that. I don't know. If he doesn't get it in a few minutes, I'll do that. Right. Okay. Well, let's continue the game here. The gamer's ranting about stuff. And whether you guys organize up between yourselves, and more people are using my Discord server to organize their own games up. I wanted to build more of these to be able to build some Panzer IVs. Let's see, do we have some 100% zone? Okay, that's going to fit. Okay, it looks like Arno isn't right around immediately, so I'm going to come over and do this. Just because I want to get it up there for people. Arno's a great moderator, but he does have other things he does, I know, at times. Okay, so my server here, invite people. There we go, get that. Let's put that there. At least it's there on Discord. So if you haven't already, anybody can click that link. They should be able to get into the Discord server, and we can talk about things some other time. And I'm really pleased that more and more people are using it to hook up for, whether playing together or as opponents on various games. One of my biggest issues with the current games is that I want to play the entire war, and I cannot stand the way your allies behave, like the Hungarians and stuff like that. Yeah, but I like here that you can, with Hoi 4 now, you can request significant forces from your allies as well as puppets, so your minor allies. Yeah, and I don't want, I wish for I would love for Hoi 3 because the AI is so bad, even in this thing here. I really wish you could not erase the country, but just be able to play the multiple countries. That would be great. Yeah, just everybody should get onto the Discord server, even if you're not planning on doing anything right now, just so you know it's there. Okay. Continue to move forward. Yeah, but under your operational control. But I also want to make all the decisions, all of the, industrial decisions, political decisions. But I really wish you could do so. There's one thing that's against that idea, especially, with probably both of the games, Hoi 3 and Hoi 4, is that the enemy AI is so bad that you're giving the player too much advantages. Okay, well, that's probably enough to push in another civilian factory. But they only have enough for one more. So, Soviet Union it will be. So, but yeah, I wish you could. And especially if you're playing multiplayer, it would be fair and nice to be able to play the minor countries. Okay, so we got all of these. Let's come over here and get some radar up and going. We have more civilian factories, which we're going to use to create more military factories. Well, I think we're going to save up to get Rommel, which is not too far in advance. Next, chip designer, material designer. Have an interesting decision. Let's get Metho bills. Not worried about the trade with the Dutch. Region-wide industrial integration. What does this do? Cannot build one. Okay, any state-owned already received an extra building slot. Okay, so it adds an extra slot to Hanover. No, thank you. At least not at this time. Okay, now we put our, let's see how our advisors, main reason, well, I did want to build up some, military points for the advisor, but the main reason was so that we could come over here and look and get a decent look at what's going on in the war here while they're not in our faction. Cool. Yeah, it would be great to be able to take over allied nations in your faction, any nation in your faction. Okay, well, now we're going to build a couple of more. Hindenburg and here. Then I'm going to build some more civilian factories, because one thing I'm thinking we're going to need to do is build much more railways. And again, like I say, I haven't played this, so I don't know how much railway upgrading we're going to need to do to, well, one, in stages as, we get ready to, because we can see we have too many units here and we have too many units here. So we need more supply coming to these locations. And then once we get into here, we'll need to upgrade this. And then once we're invading here, we'll need to see about upgrading that. And I just don't know how much civilian infrastructures we will need to do so effectively. Yeah, it's me, and that's my big problem with these kinds of games. My dream game like Hoyer War in the East that lets you do the whole war. Yeah, I'm with you, Plastic Gangster. I have a version that I've been working on, what I would, in my head, just in my head, a version of what I would do since way back in the days of playing. Because I even somewhere own a copy of Avalon Hill's Third Reich game on computer. It sucks. But I did buy that way back when. But what I would do as a grand strategy game, and it's somewhat like Hearts of Iron, but there are some other significant differences, and not just like the ability to control. In short, there's a, hey Lum, how you doing, my friend? It would have the ability to turn on and off AI for things. Is one element. So like you could say, oh, well, I'm going to let the AI handle the air war, and just give it all over to the AI or something like that. Or, hey, I want to micromanage the air war. but we're going to let the submarine war be handled by the AI. Or you can micromanage everything, or, hey, I want my allies to, handle, I want Italy to handle the Mediterranean, but I'm going to send them, 4 Panzer divisions and let Italy control that. Or, hey, you want to, just some of the conceptual elements of it that definitely give the ability to either dig deeper into stuff or just let the AIs handle it. Okay, some more civilian infrastructure here. I know we're going to be getting some with well, not infrastructure, but factories. I know we'll be getting some with more with Czechoslovakia in significant amounts, but still. And what are we on? Oh, well, we're not really seeing because these use medium tanks. Improved rubber processing, very nice production. Okay, so we're producing 1.5 about a week. That is pretty slow, even for tooling up. Oh, well, that's right. We need to research this to get better medium cannons for our tanks. Okay, Munich Conference, historic day. Okay, so we just got our border section here. Peace for now, at least. Who can we invite to faction? Well, last time I tried to invite is it just Mussolini or yeah? Last time I tried to invite Hungary, but they didn't come and they said they would accept, but okay, so now we got the Italians. For better or for worse, we have the Italians asked to join our faction. Yes, okay, they did. Okay. Right. Okay, we're still doing our march towards war. First Vienna Awards. Well, that will probably get us in Hungary into the faction. So let's go with that next. Yes, I know we're already in June, and this is taking way too long, in my opinion. Hello. I'll be Bob. I guess I'm probably butchering that. Sorry. How you doing? And hello, E. Koki. Good to have you here again. Oh, great. You've got the handicap. Not sure what that... Oh, you mean Italy. Yes. Yes. Italy, the handicap. Okay, from getting there, we got a bunch more factories, so let's... I really, really wish, and maybe there is, but I don't know the code, that would add a, well, we haven't gotten Czechoslovakia yet, but would add a in-production factory, already already a proficient up into your production queue of something. So we'll do that. Let's look over here. Let's be somewhat systematic. Okay, we got a positive number of anti-tank guns finally. Good amount of them. Lots of those medium tanks. Okay. Tactical bombers, fighters. We can always use more fighters. I can just sort of say that as a blanket statement. You're going to get full-powered Soviets. Very well, maybe. He's there to fuck up in Africa, yes. 39 Soviets have lessons of war already. Very well could be. What can you build in your allies again? Well, okay, in your allied territories, you can build some things. Some factories and whatnot, which will keep them more in your faction, or at least in your puppets. Maybe not so much your allies. In your puppets, you can. That's a distinction there. We got to wait just a little bit more. get Rommel. And we'll see how railway building is going. You know, okay, I'm just wondering this right now. Let's come to here. Let's come to railroads here. Okay, nope, we can't build. We can go there, but oh no, wait a minute, can we? Oh, we can. Okay, we can. I'm going to cancel these. We can build through our through Allied territories here. We can build railways. Very good to know. We can't build. And this is the one thing is your puppets have to have certain levels of like technology to be able to build some of these things in there. Because I know the Germans built some radar stations and they basically manned them in places like the Balearic Islands during the war. And obviously they weren't even allies, not really. So we can do that. We can't build there. Yeah, so I think it's just railways. Now I'm going to cancel these because I don't need to build right there. It was just an experiment. So we can build railway connections into our allies and not just puppets. So that is good to know. Lessons of war focus removes all negatives of the urge in the Soviet Union. Yeah, that may make them super strong. Why would you build railways there? Well, I'm just wanting to know for if I can build in Allied territory. So if I wanted to build another railway, say down into Greece through, Allied territory or something, I could do so. I just wanted to know if you could. Well, what's cap on PCs? I had it to still have 3rd edition board games in the cupboard. Yeah, I found World War II European Theater of Operations similar but much improved by SPI and later released. Yeah, a lot of great old games. Okay, we can still build more stuff here now. Well, Allied territory. You're in factional allies. Lum is being Lum. Yeah, I just well, you see, and I think, well, and puppets are a bit different. So, like I say, it's been a while since I played base game, and some of the stuff's changed in some of the mods. So this is what I wanted to do. 100% bonus. Get that done fast. Air bases in Allied. Well, we can try that. Air base. Yep, we can build air base. Oh, cancel. Good. Now, building some more civilian. We got, well, it's okay. Here we got, when we got over this part of the Sudeten land, we got 3 military and 2 civilian factories, and in this part of the Sudeten land, huh? Why the hell is Italy on the Czech border? I didn't give them like any sort of orders to go to the Czech border. Why the hell is Italy here? Got 1 military factory here. There was Tetra trucks. At least 1 military factory worth there. Why are the Italians moving into the Czech border regions? Can anybody please tell me why that happened? Who gave them permission? Well, okay, they're faction members. That sort of gives them permission. Why are they moving up here? What the hell is the AI thinking? Now, if I like gave a allied objective thing like you have in Hawaii, like, oh hey, I want you to watch this border area. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That would be cool. If I like asked for them, requested them. Let's just grab one of these. Yeah. Do this time to see what you should use this time to see what you can build. I think. Yeah, we're trying to build up. Italy is just a handicap. Yeah, the mafia. Select no supply lines for allies. That helps. Okay, technologist. I don't know if I want to do that, but good to know that I can do no supply lines for. That didn't put units on the border, so Italy was protecting you, I think. Well, maybe. Well, that could be it. Well, they're seeming to be staying there, even though I moved up there now. Well, this is so different from what I've experienced before. Because I remember playing as Italy, and when I would take a province alongside Germany, but if it became an Italian-controlled province, Germany would immediately withdraw its troops, and then the Soviets would come and bash me out. I'm not so worried about this particularly. I am worried about Italy doing something stupid later on. And I'm worried about Italy not protecting its own borders well enough. But let's look at supply here. Okay, well, maybe the AI is looking at how this is working and not overly stacking its units in places. We'll see how this goes. Because like I say, some of you guys very much have played much deeper into this than I have. I'm still experiencing this for the first time. And how it's all working out. Okay, so we've got some more civilian factories. Let's, now that we can, let's put in some radars around. Down here in the Tyrol to sort of cover that region. Units come onto the board, so we're using up a lot of our infantry and truck equipment. Yeah, we can do some more infantry equipment. No, I don't want it here. I want it here. Let's do 2. What units on the borders of Italy? How's the supply? Well, we can see again. I don't know if you. We can see here too many units are stacked for supplying effectively there. Yeah, this is just bad because it's out in the middle of the desert, kind of thing, and away from the ports. Infrastructure. Well, I don't know. Maybe they haven't built a Via Balboa yet. Yeah, this should be a little more. This should probably be a 3 along through most of this here. Unless the Via Balboa isn't. Yeah, by 39 the Via Balboa, I believe, was fully built up. That's a highway that ran along the coastline here. I don't know if it quite made it to the the border with Egypt, or quite made it to the border with Tunis here, but it definitely from the major port. And Italy was building sort of little ideal cities along here that they were moving in, Italians, sort of new built cities, and connecting it along there. So that should probably be, I think it should be a little more than 2. Looking at here, yeah, because this is pretty rugged. There isn't a highway, because this is not quite an autobahn highway, you know, that's all sculpted and whatnot, but it's a fully paved. I think it's 2 lanes each way. I think, but I'm not sure. But it's a full integrated good sort of highway running along here that Italy builds on it. What it calls its fourth shore. You know, I don't know which is the first, the second, and then the third is sort of the southern, east, west, and south. This was the fourth shore, they called it, that they were trying to develop. So probably should have a little better development there. You have to do some Italy AI uses that. Well, yeah, but Italy, well, if you're talking North Africa, yeah, Italy should lose here, and Italy should not have this many divisions down here. Should not have its armored divisions down in Ethiopia. Come on, people. It just shouldn't. It's gonna has what, 3 armored divisions here? May not be very good armored divisions, but hey, it's what Italy has. No armored divisions in North Africa. No armored divisions up in Italy. Do I see any here in here? No. Yeah, it's put its armored divisions down, and I think you might be able to build radars up in the middle. Yeah, Italy has to research that, and that's a problem in my opinion. Okay, well, we're going to go at least 2 divisions per province. Put them under von Lieb's command across the Rhine. 2 divisions across the Rhine from the French. Yeah, because I'm not trusting that the Italians will stay here. I mean, Italy literally made to give Germany a handicap. Yeah, Lum, you're right. Yeah, at least in the game, they usually takes Greece by themselves. Not always though. Well, that's good. And if the biggest problem is that normally Italy goes to war with Greece without, oh, we could do it now, without planning enough to know that to have strong enough divisions there, and whether they, you know, should do the unhistorical thing as in like a naval invasion or not, that's up to debate maybe. But okay, Rommel, getting Rommel in as a theorist, maybe if they got decent focus tree. Well, yeah, well, you see, and it's been announced that they're at least contemplating that the next major DLC will focus on Italy. But I don't know that the military planning AI knows what's happening with the focus trees, and knows that, oh, well, we're doing a 70-day focus tree to invade this country. Let's make good plans to invade this other country. I don't think there's a connection, a good connection there between the two. So it's only, oh, they feel a little bit of threat, so they put in, you know, 3 divisions, you know, 1 each of these provinces, and then, oh, we're at war with each other. Oops. You mean Greece normally just impossible to take, even if you help Italy, just up there somehow. They're just milking Hoi 4 dry. Yeah, well, we'll see where these guys go. You should move these Toronto dudes over to there. Yes, I don't know. Advanced machine tools, very good. Okay, so I've been focusing a lot on these, which I do think are important. We're getting radar, which I think is important. These are still mostly too early. We're in this playthrough, we're not paying attention to the Navy. Sorry, Arno. We will come back and look at that. We're not going to do amphibious tanks or anything right now, so we're pretty good for what we're looking at there date-wise. We got at least basic levels of most of this done, though I do want to do more. Just try and go quickly through here. Yeah, that would be nice. But what I really think, like saying, we got this coming. Well, no, let's do this now, because we have that coming. Can't do that. Well, we could do it earlier than 1940, but only after we get that done. Move medium howitzer and medium cannon. Yeah, let's get this going. I'm going to make a minor DLC for Nordic countries before the Italy kind of like a battle for the Bosphorus. Well, if they do, they're stupid. Yeah, I know they're Swedish. I have a Norwegian friend who's maybe lurking around here who's like, everything Norway, cool. Yeah. And there may be Sweden and everything Sweden, but look, other than an invasion, and if you're thrown in Finland, okay, you have the Winter War, but didn't they already do something here for, oh no, this is just the generic tree, okay. So, well, I would have done one with Poland and Soviet Union. I would have done a Finland thing, just dump it. Yeah, I don't know. Just so little happens up here. Yeah, I know the Germans invade Norway, and the Soviets have the Winter War. But that's it. Oh God, people, nothing happens. Let's get the things that happen done first. Battle for the Bosphorus, which I still not yet bought. At least the war sort of happens around here more in that these guys here, well, Bulgaria, as far as I know, never declares war on the Soviet Union. They only declare war on Britain. They don't even declare war on America, I don't think. So they're only limitedly in the war, though the Soviet Union does invade them, so it doesn't save them. At least these guys were major participants in the war on the East. And obviously, losing some of their territory here. So yeah, they're much more central to the story of World War II. Yeah, motorized artillery. See other countries research stuff, spies. Yeah, are there technologies you would like to see added to the next DLC? Hello, Cocoa Butter. Fragrance. Technologies I'd like to see added to the next DLC. The thing I want to see next, maybe, is that all strategic movement must start and move along a railway line and then end on a railway line, very much like you're moving these railway guns. So for doing non-strategic movement, move wherever, however, but if they're going to do a strategic movement, they got to get to a railway line and then go along it. Now, maybe the difficulty is an AI to program it so it knows how to do that well. That could be, but that's what I would like. One thing I would like to see. Germany never intended to invade the Balkans. Oh, they didn't want to know. It was only Italy fucking up in Greece and Yugoslavia sort of, yeah, we're with you. No, we're not. Now you're invading, kind of thing. So yeah, no, they didn't. Hitler didn't want that. Hitler wanted a secure southern front, and that's what he was getting until. Yeah, because Greece wanted to be an Axis member, guys. Greece wanted, yeah, hey, we're fascist. They were sort of fascist authoritarian. Yeah, we're sort of fascist. We want to be allies with you, Mussolini. Mussolini's going, I want you. I don't want you as an ally. I want you. So, yeah, they sort of wanted to be an Axis member, but Italy was saying no, no, no. So had they left it alone, that would have been a secure southern front. A lot less troops having to be on it. Very much too. News from Sweden has been quiet lately. This time they were having trouble with immigrants throwing around hand grenades and no-go zones. Well, spiraling, the question I have is, are they still having trouble with no-go zones? Which I think they are. I'm pretty damn sure they are. And I don't know if hand grenade attacks are still going on, though. That's another question. But I'm pretty sure there's still no-go zones, and they haven't done anything about it. I just don't think the news is reporting it. Spiraling. That's my opinion, that the news isn't reporting it. And that it's still a problem. I'm Italian, so really like Italy tree to be... Oh, well, of course, yes. Italy trees would be great to be reworked, Marquio. That would definitely be good, and they do play a very pivotal role in World War II. In Finland, our politicians are convinced that no such thing can happen here. Well, yeah, well, your politicians, because I've known politicians and talked to candidly, American ones. Sometimes they know that things can happen. They're just not willing to admit it out loud because they rather do the comforting lies than harsh truths. So they very well may think it could happen there, but they're not racist. They're not whatever. They're not going to do the Donald Trump thing and say something is bad. And so they just don't say stuff. That's my opinion on it. Yeah, okay. The reason for the hand grenades in Sweden, how they're getting them there, in a practical sense, I'm not quite sure. But to my understanding is, under Swedish law, if you shoot somebody with a gun or you stab somebody with a knife, that is murder because it is a deliberate act to harm someone, to attempt to kill them, if you kill them. But if you just throw a hand grenade into the room, well, you weren't targeting someone specifically, you were just igniting an explosive. So if somebody happens to die, well, it's just like manslaughter because you didn't deliberately target a particular individual. You just sort of threw a hand grenade into the room and it went off. That is my understanding is why grenade attacks were such a big thing in Sweden, because the bad guys figured out, oh, well, they will get less, we can kill somebody and get less jail time for it, basically. I was shocked to hear that hand grenade attacks, gun issues are one thing. Grenades are crazy. PCBS, basically. Yes. So it's a weird nuance of Swedish law, is my understanding as to why there are. I want to see how we're doing with tanks. Okay, good. Both medium and heavies. That means we should come here and add unit and add unit. We're going to add 2 units. So yeah, there's a legal, practical reason for grenades. Correct me, somebody, if you actually know better that I'm wrong and not just think, because I'm pretty sure I'm correct on that. But if you have actual, real knowledge that I'm wrong, please always correct me. I want that. Hundreds of incidents over the last few years. Regulations on explosives softer than Sweden and other countries. Maybe not at the point. No, I think they're smuggling the grenades in. They're smuggling people in from the Middle East. They're just smuggling grenades. But beyond that, I mean, because it's not like improvised explosive devices, to my knowledge. It's actual proper military hand grenades that they're tossing around. Formations of street gangs in Helsinki. Yeah, I can imagine that they're doing it. We've got light tanks, but our panzer divisions currently have 1 battalion, which is sort of historical. 1 battalion of medium, 3 battalions of light tanks right now. Current reserves, even though I've just popped in 2 more into production. We, maybe enough for another division, but I don't think enough to add another whole battalion of medium tanks to the divisions. Oh, it's been going on for some years, doing the grenade thing, I think. Like 4 or 5 years. Oh, well, yeah, that's in China. They do. There's a lot of mass stabbings going on in China. And it's various social pressures and the inability to get guns. And they focus on, the mass stabbings are almost always focused, not always, because sometimes they do like train stations or something, but a lot of them are focused on children's schools. They like to target adults, like to target children's schools for mass stabbings for some reason. I've heard explanations, but I'm not entirely sure on all of that. But that's China. Different sort of reasons there. You're making transport planes. No, we're not. I'm not doing transport planes right now, Soul XP, because mostly I'm trying to look at the railway mechanic. Even if it's a good idea to right now to make them, I just don't care enough at the moment. I want to do railways to see how railways work. Yeah, I'm sure they're useful, the transport planes, but this playthrough is to look at certain things. That's why I'm like ignoring the Navy. This playthrough isn't to play a good game of Hoi 4. It's just, hey, how do railways work, and how are they cool or not, and how should they be changed or not? Harsh truths do not win votes. Absolutely. Yeah, it's sort of a meme thing that I saw, a little cartoon, two desks set up with a banner of them, one that says comforting lies, and then a long line of people waiting to hear those, and then the other desk above it said harsh truths, and nobody waiting to talk to those people. So yeah, and that's what I feel I sort of give with my I know there's people who've been around it. So I repeat myself. I know a lot because I know there are new people here. I call what I do is historical commentary, because I know I'm wrong on details and facts. Go read a book if you want to get this stuff, or go watch whether it's on YouTube or somewhere else, a well-prepared documentary. It's like when I do a mod, I research everything out and make sure it's good history. But then again, I forget the details. So even if I'm talking about my own mod. The other thing I try to do is lessons from history, not historical lessons. It's lessons from history, meaning it's not what happened on such and such date. Here's the details of the Munich Conference, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm talking about the lessons learned or can be learned from the Munich Conference or the Sudeten crisis. Sure, we talk about the details to some degree when I talk about that, say. Obviously, I didn't this last one, but I've talked about it in other videos. It's sort of the lessons learned from history. Those are the two things that I want to do with these videos. Is lessons from history and historical commentary. And so, harsh truths. What we can learn from the past. Use the number 2. The two-letter word basically pisses me off more than I like. We want to reach, just want to grill it for God's sakes. Not always do it, but sometimes try to make, comment look shorter. Right, essays. Yeah, but most of your essays are well thought out, plastic gangster, so I don't mind them at all. Years started back in 23, got progressively worse each year since. Oh, you're talking about grenades, yes. Hello. Dennis Winter, another gamer here. Hope you're doing great and everything is okay. Yep, it is. I wanted to ask you if you plan to play Total War or Napoleon Total War, like World Domination. Well, I do have a play series of which is almost finished, and I made a recent episode, put it up there, of Napoleon Total War, and I will complete it at some point. So I do have a Total War Napoleon series you can check out on my YouTube channel. I don't know if I'm going to be playing any more new Total War. I do have Total War Empire. I could play those sometime. I would be happy to. Go watch the current Napoleon series. You hear me talk. I made a really great several episodes. One, I made a special episode talking about the different forms of infantry use in the Napoleonic era. The square, the line, the column, and used. There wasn't so much a playthrough episode. It was using the game to talk about the different types. So done a lot on that. So you might want to, if you haven't watched that series, it's worth watching. I know I'll complete it sometime soon. And if we get a bunch of people viewing it and writing comments. Write comments, let me know you're watching the thing. I will complete that, and if there's enough interest, I will play more various Total War stuff, mostly historical. Those who fail from learn to history are doomed to repeat it. Yes. And I know they sometimes say history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. Yeah, well, yeah, that's just sort of semantics, repeating or rhyming. It's all that sort of type of thing. Gamer trying to play Total War with mods without playing with, yeah. Okay, I have not played it with mods. If like on Discord at some time, not because if you tell me something here now, I probably won't remember it. Not that I don't want to, but probably won't. I'm very willing to look into mods to see about. That wouldn't put me too much for bits in there. Yeah, let's drop radar here. I very much could be talked into playing Total War Napoleon with mods. That could be really cool. And hey guys, you know, I love talking about World War II, but I also want to talk about other periods in history. And so if there's enough interest in either a particular game or a particular period, I would be happy to play it. I want to play other periods. It's just interest, you know, viewership levels do matter. And sometimes I know I get a few of you really interested in it and will watch every episode of something, but a few of you is not most of the viewers. So that I have to take that into account. So I'm sorry about not maybe playing everything that you guys, that some of the more dedicated viewers might want to watch, but I try. I don't want to make this channel for just 5 people, is I guess what I'm saying. I want to make it for as big an audience as I can get with this, within reason. There are huge lessons to be learned from history. Actually, yeah, history of the Sudeten crisis, Munich agreement are valid right now. Absolutely, with Russia pushing. They're talking about maybe next year Russia's thinking about coming into Ukraine. I am very worried about China and Russia right now. I made an episode, or I made a talk just on China maybe a month or so ago now. I'm really worried about Russia because, you know, we have a defense agreement with Russia, we the US. I don't think we're going to honor it. We didn't honor it over Crimea. We haven't honored it over the Donbass sort of region. Trump at least sent actual weapons and not just, you know, medical aid, Trump, you know, for Trump, people keep wanting to go, Trump is some sort of Putin's puppet. He's the furthest thing from Putin's puppet. He was supplying actual effective weapons to Ukraine to fight in the Donbass region. Just that Trump is more worried about China than he is Russia. I'm worried because if we uphold our defense agreement with, because we signed a defensive alliance with Ukraine to convince Ukraine to give up its nuclear weapons. We shouldn't have done it, but we did it. The U.S. did it. And if the U.S. doesn't uphold that defensive alliance, you know, I mean, well, if it does, it could mean a major war and a major war with a nuclear power. So it could be, you know, Armageddon. You know, in a not just in some strange weird theory. It could just be, you know, they launch an attack out of some Russia, you know, Belarus or somewhere, and we bomb it there, and then they bomb somewhere in Warsaw, and we bomb somewhere in Moscow with, you know, conventional stuff, and once we do that, they launch nuclear missiles, you know. Or planes are coming towards Moscow, and they don't know whether, you know, they have conventional weapons or nuclear missiles, so they launch their nuclear missiles. So we could head into World War III or Armageddon if we defend Ukraine. If we don't defend Ukraine, we can head into World War III or Armageddon, because if they get Ukraine, and we have other defense agreements with the Baltic states, well, that may trigger it. But if we don't defend, because there's large Russian minority populations in here, they're minority, but they're large. Sometimes I think it's like 30 or 40%. Should have fucking gotten rid of them at the time, at independence, but they didn't. And Russia's going to claim that they need to protect the Russian minority and move in. If that doesn't trigger war, well, they'll move into, you know, down here or move into Poland. The gradualism is at some point, if you don't stop him now, you don't give him a bloody nose now. Not really, I'm not advocating, unlike Arno, I'm not advocating bombing Moscow. I'm advocating what I would have done, and maybe I'd make a poor world leader, but what I would have done if I was the US president, once they invaded Crimea, I would have scheduled with the Ukrainians just a training exercise with the Ukrainian Armed Forces, send in basically 1 battalion of M1 Abrams tanks and a few support weapons, and set up a live fire training exercise and start it down here, and just sort of drive into Crimea, along with the Ukrainian infantry support. And if the Russians shoot back at this live fire exercise, we return fire and clear out, early on in the first 6 months, clear out the Crimean Peninsula. Sort of dare them to shoot at us, and if they shoot, we shoot back. And we see how well our Abrams would do against whatever fighting forces there are there. And I would have a carrier or more sitting out here, or have a bunch of airplanes sitting in Romania ready to fly air cover. And only shoot from the air if they shoot back at us. And I would have cleared them out of Crimea. That's what I would have done. And just called it, we're not invading Russia. We're not fighting Russians. These guys, if they're Russians, they're in a foreign country. They better get the fuck out. We're doing a live fire exercise with our Ukrainian friends. And I believe that had a U.S. armored battalion moved in here, and we allowed them to peacefully surrender themselves and leave, and we provided the exit strategy, they would have withdrawn. I believe they would have. I don't believe they would have shot back. I think if the American tanks had rolled in. That's what I believe would have happened at that time. Now, if we do it now, it might mean a shooting war. But had we done that, Putin would have stopped pushing. Would not have then started pushing in Donbass, would not push in other places. Had we done that, I think we would have avoided a major possibility of going to World War III. But unfortunately, our American leaders of a particular party, but even some of the Republicans as well, are damn weak on things. And Putin thinks he can get away with it. And Putin's going to keep pushing until he doesn't think he can get away with it. And the more we let him get away with it, if he invades Ukraine and he puts Russian tanks into Kiev and gets away with it, whether that becomes part of Mother Russia or just he installs a puppet government, like there's basically a puppet government, is my understanding, in Belarus. If he just puts in a puppet government, either way, because he did have that puppet government until the Ukrainian Revolution kicked them out. If he just does that, he'll want to do it in the Baltic states, and he'll keep pushing, and that is a real problem. Now I'll check out what it's saying on the chat. Okay, so you think it's going to be okay? How far back? Okay, how far back do we need to go here? There are huge lessons from history. Yes, things doomed to repeat itself. Yes. Who else said that? Just nobody in chat. You got two? No. Oh, I have two. Well, I have two chats. Plastic Gangster. I have both YouTube and Twitch chats. So I'm watching both. Odlum is informing him good. So yes, I'm watching both. So do you think that the game is going to be good in the future? Also, maybe well, I don't know about EU5. I think people are going to be disappointed in whatever's first coming out of it. I don't know that Paradox has learned its lesson. I think this game is getting better and better. I just found your YouTube channel. Hello, yeah, Dennis. We love your videos. Really like how you're trying to do your best in your videos. Just thank you very much. Thank you. Dennis, okay, we also have Budapest Declaration where Reagan and John Major and Boris Yeltsin all guaranteed Ukrainian territorial integrity. I think that's maybe the one I'm talking. No, this is after. I think that's Bush for John Major, but I'm not sure. Maybe you're right, Plastic Gangster. I don't remember. Because I think doesn't Yeltsin comes in under Bush the Elder, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. That I find because it was still Gorbachev when the wall fell, and that was after Reagan left the White House. So yeah, I'm going to try to catch up. The war in the Donbass is pretty interesting. Lots of battles in the area of World War II. Yes. Hello, Cheeto. Would be worse if Germany won World... Oh, absolutely. It would be terrible if Germany won World War II. Germany was evil. U.S. constantly harassing Russian borders. Well, fine, yes. Russia doesn't like that we support the Baltic states and Ukrainian independence. Yes, I know that they don't like that. Oh, Russia moved in, yeah, without a shot being fired. Yes, it'll be worse if Russia take Ukraine. And then it's back to Stalin times, yes. War over the Ukraine is also, I think it's a realistic scenario. It's a possibility. Though I don't know what, because you may think Biden, well, Biden isn't in charge. Biden is just the guy that signs the papers. It's the people pulling the strings in the White House behind Biden that are in charge. And the ministers that are running each department are in charge. U.S., NATO, Russia surrounded. Yes, they do. Well, who's the aggressor here? NATO or Russia? NATO was set up as an anti-Soviet alliance. So, that's very true. NATO supported in the U.S. because the U.S. supported and never recognized Soviet invasion of the Baltic states. They had consulates, at least, or embassies in Washington, D.C. for all three of these countries all throughout the Cold War. Now, they were not necessarily freestanding buildings. They were just maybe one floor in an office building or something somewhere in Washington, D.C., or maybe just a few offices in an office building in Washington, D.C. But they had either it was officially recognized as a full embassy or as a consulate from these occupied countries that Russia occupied after the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. They did not recognize Russian conquest of them. So the U.S. supports NATO here. Ukraine got its independence at the downfall of the Soviet Union and not part of Russia. Okay. At the downfall of Russia, the U.S. acknowledges independence of Georgia. These two areas here. That's the collapse of the Soviet Union. Nothing to do with Russia, because Russia, as a political entity, was the Russian Federation, or the Russian, because it's Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. It was the Russian Republic up in here. We, to the best of my knowledge, no Russian Republic or no Russian Soviet Republic territory. Not talking Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, but Russian Republic territory has been threatened or taken away by any NATO power, to the best of my knowledge. Satellite regions of the former Soviet Union, yes, but Russia, no. Okay. To the best of my knowledge, the U.S. has never actively supported any movement that's taking away Russian territorial claims or territories, to the best of my knowledge. Okay. So, does building up alliances with bordering countries like the Baltic states, like Poland, maybe like Ukraine. I know we have defense treaties. They're not part of NATO. I know they're not part of NATO, but we have defense treaties signed with them. I should end this, but no. Yeah, I think we're going to keep this going as chat. Hey, good reason to watch the full chats, but I'm going to stop this as a Hearts of Iron episode because we're way off topic. Thank you all so much for watching. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.